We got one person that just came in, probably still a little chilly, but it would have been nicer if it was a day like yesterday and the day before, right? So I want to first of all welcome you and thank you for coming hear my presentation. Helping people improve their strength, balance, and overall functionality is truly my passion and something I've been doing for the past 15 years. But I've always had a passion for exercise in general, but I realized what it could do during the aging process, so I made it really my life's mission to educate people on how to do it and help them actually do it safely and effectively. So my name is George Norden. I have a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology. I graduated in 2009, and I did an internship. I knew I didn't want to go into like sports conditioning, like a lot of my classmates did, athletic training, treating injuries, things like that. I knew I wanted to go into a more clinical, clinical form of exercise. So I started an internship at the Hospital St. Raphael in 2009, and so I did that for the period of time, and then they ended up hiring me afterwards. I worked there for an additional 2 years, which was a wonderful experience. And I just saw how well our patients did while they were in our 9-week program.
It was great. I was there.
Did you do it?
Yeah. I had a heart attack, had
Yep.
a stroke.
Yeah, they're
And
such...
They were very, very good, very helpful.
Right, from the educational component of it to the actual physical component of it, and helping people get healthier and stronger. But afterwards, there was really nowhere we could send people that they would have the same level of supervision. So I decided that I would be the one to do that. So that's what I've been doing for the past 15 years. And that's that. And these are my wonderful, this is my wonderful family. My son, he's George the Fifth, but we call him Finn to make things easier at the house. My daughter Colby, she's 8, and my wonderful wife Kristen. I won't reveal her age because she works in Milford. All right, so I always like to start off here. Let's get it out there. Who's brave? Good, there's one brave one. Anybody else? 2. Okay. What don't you like about exercise?
I just don't push myself.
Okay.
I've been doing Pilates, which I like,
Good.
but I'm there. I'm not
Kicking and
doing it on
screaming.
my own.
Okay, gother. Very good.
I just hate to exercise.
Just hate to
I
exercise.
hate to do it. I'd rather sit in a chair. Although I have started walking in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
I've been out
Good.
there
Good.
and walking.
Any
So-
movement is good movement. Yes.
So I like to sit in the chair too.
Yeah, of course.
And I always have a lap full of something else to do.
Got you.
So it's hard to say stop.
Gotcha.
Excuses.
Right. So very common. It's not everybody's favorite thing to do, but it is so critical at any stage of the game, but especially after the age of 50, after the age of 60, it is so important. And I'll share exactly why I think that is. So those of you that are exercising, what are we doing? Walking.
Yeah, they have exercises at the senior center, so there are classes there that we've been doing.
Great.
And I've just recently hired a trainer because I'm
Awesome.
feeling like I need to get my strength and my flexibility back.
Good for you. It's the best investment you will ever make in your entire life. I say that, and I'll say it a lot throughout this presentation as well. Learning how to do this stuff properly and for your specific goals is the best investment you'll ever make. It's not worth trying to trial and error thing. You get hurt, you can waste your money, even if it's not, if it's just going to the senior center, going to the gym, that's inexpensive. But about your most important asset, which is your time. You don't want to waste your time and get frustrated if you're not getting results. So that's why we're here. Anybody else? Yes.
My friend and I go to the gym
Great.
every day
Good.
for about an hour and a half.
Whew.
And we do rowing, treadmill, resistance, bands, balance, and weights.
You want to get up here?
There's always something you can learn. We're
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
always
Absolutely right.
something you learn to do better.
Yeah.
I do swimming in the summer.
Great. Good low impact exercise. Anybody else? Any men out there? There we go. What are we doing, gentlemen?
Walking, which is enjoyable, but a stationary bike, which is probably more effective, but can be extremely boring.
Yeah. Got it. Totally get it. And you, sir?
I walk with the Milford Walkers twice a week.
Great.
Plenty of pretty women in the group.
Great. There's always motivation to get out there, right? Yep.
And,
So that's a big piece, and you know, we're laughing about the community component of that is really good too. There's some accountability. You're doing it with somebody else. It's not just getting on a bike by yourself. Boring.
I also belong to the Orange Hiking Group.
Great.
We meet once a week.
Great. We're going to talk about hiking a little bit in here, which is, and it's wonderful.
And I do light dumbbell exercises 3 or 4 times a week.
Great.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so it's all good stuff. We heard some strength training, we heard some cardio. Fantastic. All right, so some of the examples, I'm going to go back. Some of the examples when I ask that question to people that come in and work with us is I do my laundry, I cook, my laundry's downstairs, I go back up, I go up and down my stairs, I work in my garden. That's not necessarily exercise, and we'll talk about what the difference between exercise and what this is. So that's just called baseline activity. And it's really just the day-to-day things that you do in order to get through your life, but it's not necessarily exercise. So exercise, subcategory physical activity that is planned, structured, and propulsive in the sense that you're improving your overall health. So I'm going hiking because I want to improve my cardiovascular endurance. I'm lifting dumbbells because I want to improve my strength. I'm doing balance exercise because I want to, you see what I'm saying? So it's not just I go up and down my stairs and that's good enough. It's not, you have to be able to you have to be doing something that is for a purpose, okay? In order to consider it exercise. Does anybody know any of the 5 components of physical fitness? Just guess.
Stretching, cardio.
Stretching, flexibility, good. Cardio, cardiovascular endurance. Good.
Balance.
Balance should be.
Okay.
It's very good. I should add it to this.
Breathing?
Yeah, breathing. So yeah, cardiovascular endurance, muscular endurance, the flexibility. Very good. So the 5 are muscular strength. So that's being able to go to Costco and take a case of water off of the shelf and put it down in your car. So that's strength. That's like one repetition type of strength. Muscular endurance, that would be more like the going upstairs, so your muscles are contracting repetitively without feeling that sense of lactic acid building up or that burning in your muscles. Cardiovascular endurance, that was the breathing, so more I'm not getting winded when I'm walking, I'm not, when I'm on my bicycle, I can still do it, so that's the cardiovascular endurance. Flexibility, you said that earlier, so really the range of motion that your muscles will allow your joints to go into. And body composition, which is just the percentages of what your body's made of. We have fat, we have muscle, we have bone. So what are those, what's your body composed of? Okay. And on the bottom it says the description, the prescriptions vary drastically based on your goal. So yes, we've talked about a few different, different things here, but like the hiking is not going to help with strength, right? So that's more the muscular endurance probably in the cardiovascular endurance. The lifting of the dumbbells is going to help with the muscular strength. You see what I mean? So it's not just, a lot of people say exercise is exercise, and I'm going to get better because I'm exercising. You have to be doing specific types of exercise to get to your specific goal. So I just have some common conversations that I have or I have had, and there's one that you're going to get a little chuckle over. I'm going to yell at you all. All right, so me, GN, so what are you doing for flexibility, Mrs. Jones? I walk and work in my garden. That's not going to help with flexibility, okay? Great, I'm glad that you're walking regularly, Mr. Jones, but what are you doing for strength training? Well, sometimes I walk up hills or I go upstairs in my house. Again, not going to help with the strength. So you get out of breath when you walk upstairs, Mrs. Jones. What have you been doing to try to help so that doesn't happen? I avoid the stairs. That's what we're here to learn to prevent. Because that's the problem. It's not because you're 76, 86, 96 most of the time. It's this. That's the problem. So things start getting more challenging just because the normal physiological processes, our muscles start to break down if we're not using them in the proper ways. So we stop doing things like this because it's hard, you know, it's hard, we just don't feel safe doing it, and then it just keeps going, everything keeps going down. As a result of that, it's not necessarily your age, it's what you're doing. So we need to, you know, we need to make sure that we're doing more. And that's why we're here. A few statistics, this will not be shocking to any of you. 80% of Americans aren't getting the exercise that is recommended. Does anybody know how much cardio is recommended?
Is it 150?
Look at you,
Only
having good points.
because I
Put
saw
a 10, put a plus
cardiologist
10
in
on your.
December.
It's very good. 150 minutes of cardiovascular, of moderate intensity cardiovascular exercise. How about strength training? How about the,
For what age group is that?
over 60?
90?
Yep, absolutely. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, so anybody over 60. We work with currently a 96-year-old that's, she just started strength training. She's absolutely amazing. Yeah,
I'm not sure what that means. How much is recommended? 150?
oh, well, next,
Minutes,
okay.
that's what
Yeah, 150.
Minutes?
Yeah, minutes.
Minutes.
So, right, yeah.
A week.
Oh, a
right?
week.
A week,
week.
yeah, nobody can
Okay, sorry.
All right, so the 150
Okay.
minutes is 2.5 hours of moderate intensity. We'll go over what these are. Or an hour and a quarter of vigorous aerobic exercise. So that's where you're really pushing yourself. And we'll go over what kind of the difference of those two are. And then 2 days a week of muscle strengthening activities that work all 6 major muscle groups. So that's the, you know, using weight machines, using dumbbells, using other types of resistance training equipment. On the bottom, I really should take this out because I don't like it. New addition in 2019, any propulsive physical activity counts toward this time recommendation. That means if you take the advice of somebody that says, hey, why don't you park on the other end of the shopping parking lot and walk in, it takes you 3 minutes rather than 1.5 minutes, count that 1.5 minutes towards your weekly thing. I don't necessarily agree with that, and I'll share how it is, but I figured I'd put it in there because the CDC said. All right, so how many of you are getting the minimum amount of cardio per week?
Not me.
100. And this is minimum, remember. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. Awesome. That's good. It's not easy. It's not easy. How many of you are getting the minimum amount of strength training per week? So remember, 2 days a week, working all 6 major muscle groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. That's good. That's good. I want it to be more. I hope it's going to be more after the presentation. We'll go over what that means. So 2 more questions. How many of you feel as if your strength is as good or better than it was 5 years ago? 2, 3. Okay, that's good. That's good. Usually it's a 0. So I'm very impressed and I think that's great. How many of you feel your balance is as good as it was 5 years ago? Good. Yeah?
Doing a lot of balance exercises.
That's fantastic. Good. Well, the strength training will help. I'm going to show you how that correlates and how it will even make it better. So I'm really, really happy to hear that. And for you, those of you that it isn't, I'll teach you how. So we're here to change that because you can do both, whether you're in here and you're 55 or you're 90 or over 90. If you do what's in here, it will improve your strength, your balance, your functionality, your confidence. Everything will improve. Right, Mom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So I always like this, especially where on the shore. It's beautiful. I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can always adjust my sails to reach my destination. So we are all getting older. Just the fact of life. It is what it is. So you can either keep going with the wind, which is a decline in functionality. That's just what happens. We lose muscle, we lose strength, we lose functionality as we age. But you can adjust your sails by doing what's in this presentation and extend the time that you can do the things that you want to do. I absolutely guarantee it. So there's the recommendations again. This one, turn the tape off for a second. No, just kidding. So this one, I would say 3 days a week is good. 3 to 4 30-minute sessions. The 5 is, if you can do it, great. But don't say, well, I'm not doing enough, so I'm just not gonna try. I would say the majority of our clients do 3 days a week, and that is, they make 2 to 3 days a week, make drastic changes in their cardiovascular health, their stamina. So that's enough. That is a non-negotiable, the one to the right. At least two sessions a week, work all 6 major muscle groups. Three is best. All right, so aerobic exercise. So we all know what aerobic exercise is. So, but the way that you do it, I just want you to do everything properly in the way that's most effective. So I underline the parts that are really important here. Activity in which the body's large muscles move in a rhythmic manner. That should be underlined too, actually, I'm sorry. At a relatively consistent intensity for a sustained period of time. I oftentimes see people in the gyms go and, they're doing their cardio, which again, any movement is good movement. I appreciate and commend people for doing anything. But they'll go on a machine, they'll go on a treadmill for 5 minutes. Turn it off, walk over to the spray bottle, spray the paper towel, wipe it off, walk back to the pail, throw it out, get on a bike, 5 minutes on the bike, do the same thing. You really want to do, so the large muscle groups are in there. The rhythmic manner and consistent intensity, this is important. The sustained period of time. You want to try to get up to doing up to 20 minutes, between 20 and 30 minutes on one machine or one thing. So if you're walking, I'm sure the walking is much longer than 30 minutes. You want to try to do one machine or one activity using the same large muscle groups at a consistent intensity for 20 or more minutes. So that should be the goal. I'm not saying that if you're not doing anything now, if you're enjoying sitting a lot, I wouldn't say, okay, start off doing 20 minutes right away. You should start very slowly, but eventually get up to at least that. How many people are doing more than 20 minutes on like a cardio machine now?
Oh, not a machine.
Okay, or cardio in general, I shouldn't say that. Walking, swimming, doing any, okay, fantastic, good. All right, so here are, and what I always like to say is low impact machines are really important. So, so treadmills are great, don't get me wrong, but there's still some impact on the joints. So has everybody ever seen one of these before?
No.
Not in the cardiac rehab?
An optical?
Yeah, I think they are, I think I.
So this is called a recumbent elliptical machine. So it's not like one of those big ones that you stand up on and it's kind of awkward like this. These are great machines if you could ever get your ever have the opportunity to use one. Big comfortable seat, and they work every major muscle group and joint in your body, and there's no impact on your joints whatsoever. So that's a good one. And then also a regular recumbent bicycle is great as well. Even an upright bicycle, those are all really good low impact machines. Rowers, I heard a rowing machine, fantastic. So anything that's really low impact on your joints. We don't want to do anything that's going to cause any more damage. Majority of us after 50, 60 have some kind of arthritis, some kind of wear and tear on the joints, some people even bone on bone. It's not, you can still do cardio, but you just want to make sure that you're not doing anything that's too hard of an impact. All right, so here's the difference between the recommendation was 2.5 hours a week of the moderate intensity or 1.25 hours of the vigorous intensity. This is how you calculate those. So the moderate intensity, as you can see, 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate, and then the vigorous intensity, 70 to 85%. Does anybody know how to calculate maximum heart rate? You really don't want to get to this number? Yeah?
220
Look
minus
at
your age.
Look at you.
75 to 85%.
Look at you. I love it. Everybody hear that? That's a question. Mark it down. Well done. Good job. Yeah, so that's it. Great job. So it depends on your age. So let's calculate one. So if you're 75 years old, your maximum heart rate is 145. So if that's the number you're going to use, you don't want to. That's not your goal, is to reach that, but you're going to do a percentage of that. So I just chose 70% to be at kind of the lower end of that vigorous intensity. So 145 is the maximum. You're going to multiply that by 0.7, and that's going to give you the range. So this is the range of your heart rate should be if you're 75 years old and not on any blood pressure medication. So if you're on a beta blocker, metoprolol, atenolol, anything lol, you don't want to use this as your way to calculate your heart rate. Okay, does that make sense? Because those drugs are going to keep regulate your heart rate. So if you're not on any cardiovascular medications, this is what you can use. That's the real technical way to do it. But if you don't have a smartwatch or anything like that, you can also just do this. So the moderate intensity is any prolonged activity that you can talk while you're doing it, but you wouldn't be able to sing through it. Okay? And then the vigorous, any prolonged activity that inhibits you to communicate more than a few words without having to take a breath. Okay, so you're really working at the vigorous intensity. That's why the recommendation is less than the moderate, is you're doing more work in the time period that you're that you're exercising. Does that make sense? Any questions here? Any questions about anything that I said before? I forgot. Yeah.
If you're on one of the medicines for the high blood pressure, what can you do to,
So what we normally say is it's more subjective. So we'll say, how do you feel like if we're making a prescription? All right, so let me know when you get to a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in terms of intensity. So 1 being absolutely nothing, sitting on a chair, reading. 10 being the hardest thing you've ever done from an aerobic standpoint, where like you were really gassed. Let us know when you're at a 6 or a 7, and then we say, okay, Mrs. Jones, you're going to be on level, on this bike, you're going to use level 6, and that's going to be the part where it's challenging enough, but it's not too much. Does that make sense? So just think about that. Like, am I at like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 if I had to rate this? There's really no other way to do it. So that's just the easiest way that we do for our clients. Does that answer your question?
yes, it does,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, and I forgot to mention earlier, if anybody has any questions about the content, feel free to raise your hand and I'm happy to answer it. If you have anything specific about your own kind of personal situation, I'll be here afterwards to answer questions about that, which may take a little bit longer. And also my wonderful teammate Bonnie here will be doing the same, okay? So she could answer questions as well. Yes?
Does this help with toning
Yes, the cardio.
or weight loss?
So the difference between, the cardio, this type of training here, like the regular steady state cardio is what we call it. You burn calories for the time period that you're doing it. So as soon as you turn off that treadmill, you're not burning more calories. It's done. You just go back to your basal metabolic rate. The high intensity interval training, which is a little bit different, so you do like kind of spikes and dips in terms of how hard you're working, that has been proven to increase your metabolism for up to 36 hours after doing the session. But the real way to do it, well, I feel like the best way is the strength training. You get the most bang for your buck because while you're doing it, you're burning calories, and also afterwards, as your body's repairing and getting stronger, improving your bone health, and improving in many other ways, your metabolism, it's using calories during that time to do that. So it kind of takes the calories that you're taking in and repairs your body using them. So,
Will that help with toning though?
yeah.
All the flabby.
Flabby. It will. It's not an easy process. It's a lot more nutrition. Like nutrition is really the key, but it will absolutely help. Yes. So, yes.
I'm not able to walk
Okay.
briskly. How about people like that? I have balance issues, I use a cane. How long should we walk as we get stronger and stronger?
It's really your, kind of your tolerance. We normally recommend like starting with like 10 to 12 minutes. We almost start everybody at that level. That's starting from nothing. But it's, again, I can't emphasize enough that you have to be met where you're at in terms of like your cardio, either your prescription with anything. So we do an evaluation to see where people are at, because we don't want to give them something that's too easy, but we also don't want to give them something that's too hard. So for somebody that, like yourself, we would say, let's just try for 10 minutes. We don't want you to hate us the next day, and you can't wait, you can't get up, you can't move. So 10 minutes, I would say, to start with, as long as that's okay.
How do you find motivation?
Community.
Great.
Community. Get people to do it with you. And so that's the accountability. And second, get results. So say I'm gonna do this for a month and then retest yourself on day 1, then test yourself on day 30 with some, that's what we do to keep people, keep them realizing what they're doing rather than, I guess I feel a little bit better. You did 10 sit-to-stands on the first day you came, now you did 14. So that shows that you've increased your strength by 40% in the last X amount of days. So that's really the community piece, which gives the accountability, but then also getting results and seeing that whatever you're doing is working will provide the motivation as well. All right? All right, so prescription for cardiovascular endurance. So as I mentioned earlier, this is what we did in the cardiac pulmonary rehab when I was working there.
Put your volume down.
Everybody dance.
Do a little cardio. All right, very good. So just help me start. Again, I wouldn't recommend this for somebody that's hiking and walking and swimming and doing these other exercises. If you're not doing anything now, start first couple weeks, 2 machines for 12 minutes each, right? So I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit now with what I said earlier, but this is the way to start off so you're not making it too hard for yourself, and you'll be miserable if you try to do too much. You see so many people in their New Year's resolutions, they're so gung-ho about everything and they're killing themselves because they're trying to get results so fast, they stop because it's a miserable experience. So if you just take it easy and realize that this is a marathon, not a sprint, you can do it this way, and then eventually after 6 weeks, 4 or 5, 6 weeks, you can be getting up to that 20 minutes and feeling good, doing it in a conservative way rather than trying to go too fast out of the gates. All right? So that's that.
What's, I'm not advanced, what's age?
The HIIT training, so that's that high intensity interval training. So that would be, you would start off with, anybody doing HIIT training? I'll be sure. You two over there, you're doing some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So that's if you started at, you warm up, you do like maybe a 3-minute warm up, and then you do something that you would rate as like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. Okay, so you would do that for say 30 seconds. Then after that 30 seconds was up, you would slow down to like a 5 out of 10 in terms of intensity. You would do that for 2 minutes. And then you would, or yeah, let's just say 2 minutes to be simple. You would increase again, yep. You would just like,
kids play, they run, they stop, they
right.
run.
Right, so you go up and down in terms of the intensity, and that's what I mentioned earlier about it's really good for toning, good for weight loss, and same cardiovascular benefit. All right. Oh no. Skip that. Oh, I deleted something. Son of a gun. All right. How many people are getting my emails? I need to ask that. Anybody? Just emails? Anybody?
Oh, your emails?
Yeah.
His-
From me.
Oh,
from you.
His email.
No? Okay. All good. So I sent out an email that talked about this. That's the reason why I'm asking. So sarcopenia, that's what is causing all of the issues with functionality as we age. So we lose muscle. It is what it is. It's a normal physiological process. And it happens in 2 stages. First stage, 25 to 50, you lose about 10% of your muscle. And then you can see how drastic of a change it is after the age of 50. So between the age of 51 and 80, you could lose up to 40% more. So a total of 50% of you could be working with 50% less muscle than you had when you were in your 30s. So what do you think the reason is when you're 75 or 80, why you're not able to do things as easy as you did? What's that? You're right. We're not moving as much. We're not doing things that are new. We're not challenging ourselves. We start to slow down. So that's the reason. It's not, I always say it's like putting a go-kart engine into a Chevy Suburban. That machine has to work so hard that go-kart engine has to work so hard to try to move this big Chevy Suburban, not to get exhausted. Things get too hard now. Now, I'm not going to do that anymore. And it's just this vicious cycle that goes in the direction that we all don't want it to, right? Guesses?
74 for
down.
women.
So, it's down.
It's down.
It's down is right. Anybody?
74.
74, 76, close. All right, so it's 79. But I always like to point out that this number includes those who have passed on, unfortunately, have passed on well before this age. Okay? So what does that say? That the vast majority are living past 80 into their 90s. So always, you know, do you want to live or just be alive? So do you want to be able to do the things that you want to do, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes, or do you just want to be kind of sitting down doing nothing? All right, so the resistance training is the way to slow this down, right? It's the only way. There's no pill, there's no potion, there's no powder, there's no other way to do it than to resistance train. You have to challenge your muscles against resistance greater than what your body is, okay? So lifting the dumbbells, using machines, it's the only way to do it, okay? It's not that big of an investment. I'm gonna tell you how to do it. So any guesses of what the 6 major muscle groups are? So just start screaming them out.
Thighs.
Legs, good.
Arms, back, yeah.
Arms,
Then
Yep.
biceps, triceps.
core, exactly. Biceps, triceps, good. So arms, biceps, triceps. A lot of the ladies say, oh, how do I get rid of this little thing? What do they call them? Bat wings, pocketbook. All right, so we always want to do that. But the triceps are really important muscle groups, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. The biceps helping you to carry groceries, pick things up, pick up your grandchildren. There are so many things that the arms need to do, and that's probably, would you agree? Upper body is really, really something that lacks in. People don't have a lot of upper body strength when they first get started. Legs, most of the time they're okay. Upper body is normally really, really bad. Shoulders, so this is something that we need to do, being able to press above your head. So many injuries we hear, rotator cuff injuries, labrum tears, things like that. Putting luggage overhead on the plane, overhead on the train. So there's a lot of need to strengthen up your shoulders. Legs and hips, obviously, so muscles in the front and back of the legs, the sides, also the glutes, so really important to strengthen up all those muscle groups to be able to get up off the floor, which that's going to be the demonstration in a few minutes. So really important to do that. Chest, that's another one. Anybody think, you'll be the first one ever, in me doing this for about 12 years, think of something you do every day that you do this to use your chest muscles.
Push-ups?
If you're doing push-ups every day, you're right. You're right. But like on a regular day-to-day activity.
Vacuum.
Vacuum? Ooh,
Yeah.
maybe.
Rotator
You are the
cuff.
first one. Okay, vacuuming. So vacuuming is the only one. Okay? So these muscles get really, really weak. And what those muscles allow us to do with the triceps and the shoulders is this. Okay? So I'll show you how important they actually are, not only to get rid of the bat wings, but also from a functional perspective. Okay? Back helps with posture. Every time I mention posture, I see everybody do this. Shoulders come back, but it's really important. So all the muscles in the upper back of the shoulders, and the low back help us to stand up straight, which helps with many things. And the abdominals helps with balance, helps with back health, so on and so forth. So there's 2 types of resistance training, and they're equally important. Using machines. How many people are using machines here, like the actual sit-up? Good, good. Trainer has you using machines?
Yeah.
Good. Anybody else? There you go. Good. Okay. So they're great because they help with the major muscle group development. So the muscles of both the legs. They're easier to perform. So you sit down on a machine for the most part. Maybe you have to adjust the seat a little bit, but they're pretty self-explanatory. I still would recommend having a trainer show you how to do it, figuring out the right intensity. But they're relatively easy to perform once you know how to do it. Oops. You can load muscles easier in a safer manner. So if you wanted to strengthen up your legs, you wouldn't want to hold on to two 30-pound dumbbells, right? Because you're and then do this. Or put, 100 pounds on your back like this. Or would anybody like to do that? No, right? But you can sit on a machine and load these muscles by just pushing out in front of you. So they're really important for that because you can overload the muscles without having to, hold on to those heavy dumbbells. Provides consistent intensity, so it's always the same. If you're using the same machine, it's always the same intensity. You can increase it and decrease it however you want to. And the one that I just said before, you can exercise your legs with less than your body weight. So a lot of times we get people that they can't sit and stand from a chair. Their legs have gotten so weak, they have really bad knees, a number of reasons. The machines that, like in the gyms, you can use less than your body weight. So say my torso weighs 80 pounds, let's just say that. I can sit on a machine and push 40, and then 2 weeks later I can push 50, and then 3 weeks later I can push 60, 70, 80, you see where I'm going. Now I can stand up easier. But if I just started, I was struggling to stand up from a chair because I had to use my body weight, that's where injuries occur. But if you can use the machines to gradually build yourself up, then you get to the end result that you want. So that's this machine here, the leg press, which is very useful tool. This machine here is for your hips. So a spot where we don't really think about strengthening all that much, but there's a lot of people in here that are very prone, and number one on the list of being prone to osteopenia, osteoporosis, bone loss. So this machine here, we use it a lot for our clients that have that or are on the kind of the risk, are at risk to get that because it helps to strengthen up the muscles in the femur, also the whole hip socket, as well as the lumbar vertebrae, which is where all those muscles attach to. So if you're strengthening the muscles, it also strengthens the low back machine. So this helps to strengthen up this area. This helps with posture. You see where I'm going. So these machines allow you to load your muscles in a safe way. Okay. Functional training. So this is, again, equally, if not more important. We're here to talk mostly about balance and reducing fall risk. So this is the number one. You can jot that down. I'm helping you. Okay? All right, so this is the number one most important. Again, the machines are very important. You have to be doing them, but this is really what's going to help with what we're here for. So using free weights, bands, or other non-machine equipment to mimic the natural movements of daily life in all planes of motion. So over to the right, you can see the different planes of motion. We do mostly everything on a day-to-day basis in the sagittal plane. So this is walking forward and backwards, right? We go upstairs, we don't do anything in this plane of motion, so which is the reason why I think we have so many issues with hips in the bone density in the hips, because we don't use that that joint in all of its capacity. And then the transverse plane, which is twisting. So this is another thing that we don't do repetitively, and especially not with resistance. So those types of movements, the twisting movements, help with your abdominals, help with the muscles of your low back, and ultimately keep you safe. Better back health, better balance, so on and so forth. All right. Okay, got that there. So here are just some examples. This is Mary on the left. So has anybody used one of these before?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, good. You doing good?
Long time
They're
ago.
so good. Yeah, they're so good. So it's called a Bosu ball. It's like a half ball, and it's an unstable surface. So as you can see, Mary here. So she is facing away from the wall. She's holding onto two bands. So she has one foot up on it like this. She has the bands in her hand, and she's pressing out in front. Okay. So she has her foot on that thing, so she still has some stability, but it's a little bit less than if she was just standing like this. Okay. So she's using her chest muscles, her triceps, her shoulders, her core, because the bands want to pull her back. She's working on her balance. Her legs are working. Do you see what I'm getting at? So you're getting so much more than just sitting on a machine and doing this, which is, again, still important, but this is the key. And then we have my man Stan here,
90.
90.
He turned 90 this year.
90. So he's 90, And he's doing the same thing, has his foot up on like this, and all by himself, and he's curling 10 pound dumbbells.
So his back leg is balancing him.
His back leg is balancing, right. Right, so he's keeping his stability with that one back leg, which is strengthening his, I'll talk about neuroplasticity in a little bit, but his neurological system, because like, what the heck are you doing, man? So his leg is probably shaking a little bit like this for the first few times he's doing it, and then afterwards, it just calms down because the body's used to doing it now, so it's just practicing these things. Yep, and he's just standing up like this. Right, and 10 pound dumbbells for a 90-year-old guy. This is my buddy Ingela, she's
84, 85.
Yeah. So I believe she had like some type of knee surgery, but she does all kinds of stuff. She's still camping in a tent on the ground for a folk festival every year in Maine, I think.
She loads her kayak herself on her car.
Kayak, yeah. She's amazing. She's been coming for 7 years. So she's doing a step down. I think she was going on vacation and she was afraid of like the cobblestones or something like that. So she wanted to do things that were gonna help her to be safe on the trip. This is Maureen. She's standing on this is like a big sponge, essentially. So she's standing like this, and she has that 6 pound medicine ball in her hand, and she's twisting like this. Okay? So really good in that transverse plane. Her whole system is working to keep her up. Can you think of anything that you do this on a day-to-day basis? Okay, George, so why do I need it?
Shoveling snow.
Shoveling snow, exactly. That's exactly right. So doing things that mimic day-to-day movements, but also the balance is really key in here too. So here are some videos. I've never done a video on one of these, so I want bear with me here. So this is Arlene. She had been walking 5 miles a day at 4:30 in the morning for the past 40 years. But she came to us because her balance was so bad, even though she'd been doing that for so long. So if she moved in a different direction than the sagittal plane, what her body's been used to doing for the last 40 years, she was all over the place. But then we started doing things that were challenging in other ways. So here she's stepping up onto one of those. And you can see what happens. See what we're doing here? So she's stepping up, she's moving this way, she's moving that way, and what happens is every time she does that and steps on an uneven surface, her brain has to develop more neural pathways, and because it has to respond. Her body has to respond. So the more that you do things like this that are new movements, the more neural pathways make in your brain, which send more signals and faster signals down to your working muscles to help to do that. And other things, obviously. So let's do this. Shoot, how do I get out of this now? Arlene's getting a lot of airtime here.
Do you have her switching feet?
Yes.
Starting with the left and then.
Yep. Yep, so now both sides of her brain are working. Almost at the same time. All right, I'm gonna have to start this over. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. And I want to show one more just because it's amazing, and then we'll go through.
The girl looked like me.
Okay, this is the last one. So same woman,
Look at that horrible upside down.
same woman. So look at her. So I wanted to kind of zoom up on that. She's 85 something.
I think she's 85 now, yeah.
Right around there. and she's going up and she's pushing 5-pound dumbbells above her head. Her core muscles are engaged, her glutes are engaged. This is not her first day, please don't. That's not how that's not how you start, that's not how you start anywhere, but eventually work up to those things, and then you just keep getting better. You keep getting better. You can't do one thing for forever. You have to keep improving based on how you're doing.
I have a video of her actually just a few weeks ago on the physio ball where she, go to the bottom, George, where it says 41, and you should be able to slide over. Try next one.
Okay, good. All right, great.
And she rolls down with just her shoulders onto a ball, an inflated ball, and does chest press. Yeah. And again, she's been with us for a long time, and we have.
It's been like probably 3 years, so not forever. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just
Drastic
what you can do.
improvements.
A
All right,
ball
so
that
this
she's
is all-
sitting on?
That she starts sitting on, and then she rolls herself down, so then just her shoulders are on it, and her butt's lifted in the air.
Yep. So that's a great exercise. You're using your chest, you're using your glutes to keep yourself up, you're using your hamstrings to keep yourself
Your
up.
core.
It's just that's what we mean. The functional training is important.
How is her balance now that she's been with you for 3 years?
That was
Well,
her.
When she walks, like things
Oh,
we
yeah.
would do.
Much better. And walking probably hasn't gotten much better, to be honest. But her confidence level in doing other things is
And her
the
strength.
yeah
Okay.
is the game. So she's doing more now based on her confidence level. She's doing something that better than probably I could do it because she's been doing it repetitively. So yeah, and the confidence is a really big thing too. That's one of our goals. Yeah.
So, I have a problem because I tripped.
Yep.
Again, on irregular surfaces.
Yep.
And balance is an important thing. How do you need to catch yourself?
You're right.
You know, so you don't kill yourself.
Right.
Okay.
So the tripping is a big thing. A lot of times it's not balance, like I get lightheaded and I lost my balance. Tripping, getting pushed, pulled. There are so many reasons, why people actually fall. But as I mentioned earlier, those doing new physical movements help your brain to develop more, again, neural pathways, which help your body to respond faster and your reaction time is faster. So being able to trip and getting your foot out in front of you fast enough is a result of that.
Well, a lot of times, don't you, like, your impulse is to catch yourself with your arms.
Right.
You trip, and so you don't hit your head.
Right.
So I've broken an arm doing that.
Right.
Because that's what you did. I just so quick,
Right. Yeah.
and you feel so stupid.
It happens. But having the strength to catch having the response, the reaction time to be able to get your foot there, or whatever, or your hand there, whatever it is, but then also the strength to actually stop you. That's why the balance and strength training is so important to do together. So we have a woman that she was at her vacation home in Mexico, and she came back and she said, "George, I just have to thank you." Or no, she said, "Look at all these scrapes. Look at my hand. Like, what the heck happened to you?" She said, I was walking my dog, it ran this way to get something, put the leash right out in front of me, and I fell down. She said, "This isn't the first time it's happened, but I was able to do this time."
Oh.
Right? So she was able to use her triceps and her chest muscles because she'd been working on them to not face plant. And she said the last time this happened, you should have saw what actually happened. So, I literally hit my face on the concrete.
Yeah.
So she was able to, her triceps were able to slow it down and her chest were able to slow it down. We're all gonna fall, it's inevitable. There's no way of getting around it. So it's just what's going to happen when you do. But yeah, so the reaction time and having the strength to actually stop your momentum is important and what you'll get from this. Right. So I just like to say that functional strength training helps to reduce stress. A lot of people get stressed and anxious and depressed that they can't do the things that they want to do, and that's what kills me the most. Frustration because they can't do the things they do. Helps with arthritis symptoms. Again, anybody over the age of 50 likely has arthritis somewhere, knees, hips, back. Motion is lotion. It's so true. So there's still synovial fluid and different fluids inside of your joints that get kind of dispersed around your joints to help you to just move better and be less stiff. Back pain, hear a lot of people, when I'm cooking or when I'm, doing dishes, I always get this dull ache back here. It's just because those muscles are not strong. We don't do a lot on a day-to-day basis to, to strengthen them. So we want to make sure we're keeping those low back muscles, strong. Fall risk, feel for, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm talking a lot about the goals and what happens, but this is what I really mean when I'm talking about all of this, right? So yes, it's going to improve my balance. Yes, it's going to improve my strength, but these are what people want. They don't want to be, let's say, I don't want muscle. I don't want this. I don't want that, but they do want this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I don't want to exercise. I don't care if I have muscles, but yes, I still want to go and and participate in life. So that's the result of all of this, is we want to be able to be an active part of our own lives and the lives of our families. So that's why this is so important. And not get it. And also this, not have to depend on them. Right? So you want to be able to continue to do go grocery shopping on your own, vacuum on your own, live in your own house for as long as possible. These are all, all things that I've heard over the years, and it can happen. It can extend the amount of time that you can do so if you do all this. All right, so here's how you do it. The prescription. So volume is just the amount that you do. All right, so sessions, do 2 to 3 per week. I strongly suggest 3 per week. Start off with 2 if you're not doing it now. 2 strength training sessions per week. But after 3 weeks, increase it to 3. And just stick with 3 for as long as you can. 3 or more, really. Sets. Does anybody know what a set is compared to a repetition?
Yes,
Go ahead.
it's when you've done a limited amount of something, X amount of time.
Right.
Before you redo it again.
Right, absolutely right. Yep, so one repetition. So if I did 10 of those, that would be 1 set of 10. Does that make sense? All right. So you want to do 2 to 3 per muscle group. My research in the beginning, I'll explain quickly. We were always doing 3 sets in our program. It just took way too long. I did some research to see what the difference was if we did 2 or 3. There was some research that, there was an experiment that they did 1 set compared to 2. There was a vast difference in the amount of strength gained between the 2. The people that did 2 sets compared to the 1 got much, much stronger. They also did 2 sets compared to 3 sets. There was almost no difference in the strength improvement, okay? So if you have all the time in the world, do 3 sets, but if you want to get all 6 major muscle groups in, do 2 sets of each exercise. And repetitions, 8 to 15. Intensity, so you want to have that determined by somebody that knows what they're doing. By the second to last repetition, you should start feeling that lactic acid build up a little bit, and you should be saying to yourself, man, I don't want to do this another 3 or 4 times. Okay? Easy way to do it. And then rest like 40 to 60 seconds in between the sets. So do your 10, let's say 10 is the repetition range that you're doing. Rest 40 to 60 seconds, let your body replenish the fuel source that you use while you're in that first set, then do another. Okay? This is the hardest thing for us to get people to do, is just chill for a second. They want to do their set, then do the second one right away. Yeah?
If you're, like, when we're at the gym, sometimes we'll take a machine and then we switch
Yeah.
after 1 set.
Great.
Should we stay on 1 machine and do 3 sets
No.
and then switch?
Nope.
Is there a better?
Nope, that's good. As long as it's what we call agonist antagonist, normally or you could do an accessory. So you wouldn't want to do like let's say a chest press on the machine and then do another chest press or a shoulder press or a tricep extension, because those are working similar muscle groups. So what we would normally recommend is doing like a push-pull. So you're doing a chest, a machine that you're pushing out in front, and then you can go over and you can do something that you're pulling, because you're going to work opposing muscle groups. So the one that you did first isn't going to get fatigued even more by the second exercise, and then you're not going to be able to.
When you're doing the leg one, when you're pushing down,
Yep.
and then you go to the other one and you're pushing up.
I do that.
That's good.
I do that personally. Yep. Try to be as efficient as possible with the time. Again, most precious asset. Very good question. So balance, what is it? Ability to maintain the body's center of gravity over its base of support. Mark it down, mark it down, mark it down. All right. So why is it so important? It affects our quality of life. Yeah, if we don't have it, we're normally, that fear of falling is sometimes worse than anything because it keeps us from doing things that we want. And it can result in all the, everything down below. Are we at a really big time crunch? Like, do I have to be out of here?
No.
After, okay, you sure?
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry if it goes a little bit after the three folks. So why does it decline as we age? These things, we as exercise professionals can't really help, but you can help otherwise for that. Poor posture that can be improved with strength training. Feet issues, not so much. But all of this is really, I feel, the main reason why people lose their balance. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, the balance decreases as a result of decline in strength in your lower extremity. So your legs, your hips, your core, even.
Excuse me, that's what LE means?
Lower extremity. Yeah. Sorry. So we're more sedentary. It just kind of is what it is. Retire, and a lot of people, not everybody, just start doing less. We don't challenge it enough. So I mentioned those exercises earlier that I showed you that are, some people are doing. How many people have started something new physically after the age of 60? What is it?
Something new.
Oh, the gym. Okay, good.
Weight training.
Weight training. Good. That's great. Okay. Anything besides exercise? Excuse me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Painting the exterior of my house.
Don't make me go back to slide 1, man. It's good. All right. So we don't really, unless you're doing like the exercise, which is obviously what we're here for. But we don't do much to challenge ourselves from a physical perspective. We don't take on new hobbies. We don't start playing, tennis or doing things like, doing things like that. So that's another reason.
And our kids are telling us, oh, don't worry. We'll if you can't do that, we'll do it for you.
Get out of here.
And
That's
I
exactly
sort of
right.
gave into that in the beginning.
Yep.
But now I'm realizing, whoa.
No. That's exactly right. People start thinking, oh, she's getting a little bit older. Let's start.
Yeah, she shouldn't be doing that.
It's one of the biggest
doing things
mistakes
for
that we
them.
hear
The kids
from our
are
members
always
is they say, well, my kids say, I shouldn't do that. I'm like, you're more than capable.
Right. Yeah. So it's so important. And we don't move in all planes of motion, especially this one. Okay. That one is scary because as soon as you change your line of vision, balance is gone, totally gone. So that's why, yeah.
So it's good to do like sideways and backwards on the treadmill, things like
No.
that?
No. You got that on tape? No. You can, but I'm not going to recommend that. Okay? You can, if you are going through it, obviously very slowly. Make sure it's one of the treadmills that have the bar that goes all the way across. You can do it.
Well, I mean, we do that. We do sideways
Yeah.
and backwards on
Yeah.
the treadmill and forward.
Yeah.
However, what we've also incorporated was, in between our balance is to like just sideways, go down, just kind of skip sideways. Like, and go
God bless
backwards
it.
and forwards.
It's great. It's absolutely
Make our
great.
brains work a little different.
You're exactly right. That's what it's doing. It's doing more for that than anything else. So that's that neuroplasticity that I'm talking about. Your brain's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. You haven't done this before. It's really strange, and you're moving in that frontal plane. So it's really, really important to do new things like that. So that's great. It's not part of this slide, but this presentation, but it's good. That's great. So the majority of us don't move in all planes of motion, especially that. Who loses their balance if they look a different way? Majority, right? So you have to practice that. You have to practice that. Always have something you're going to grab onto, but that's a real problem because that's when most people fall. They're walking and they look a different way, and then they're over. So want to make sure that you're practicing how to do that.